Hello everyone, it's Benjamin Zaemisch, author of Life, Death, and Other Dreams, and the founder of Move, Learn, Create, and welcome back for episode 5 of Thematic Serenity, where I'm helping people to understand and then align themselves with the mechanics of this creation so that we can start to consciously evolve further into the human possibility. And I'm so excited for this episode. Is life fair? This is a huge topic that is relevant for everyone. Before I get started though, I have to correct a grave error, a serious mistake that I made in my last video. If you've seen it, at the beginning I was quite enthusiastically giving a shout out to my friend Cody, who supplied me with the intro and outro music for these videos. And I credited him by his producer name, Codeine Beats. Now, obviously, Codeine Beats changed his name to Deadshot like forever ago, which I would have known had I paid attention to anything. So, Deadshot, I apologize. There's no excuse for my behavior. A travesty such as this shall never occur again, and I would never do anything to disrespect the impeccability of your gangster. Thank you, Deadshot, for your forgiveness in advance. All right, I feel so much better. Let's get into this. So, is life fair? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have felt attacked by life. And I don't mean like in a general way. No, I mean personally affronted by the existence. I mean, have you ever looked around and seen absolutely nothing but irrefutable evidence that this life is a complete scam? Have you wondered why all the good people like you can never seem to get ahead, but all of the bad people like them, well, they just can't find the time to celebrate all of their victories? What is going on? I mean, we've all struggled with this. I think honestly, some of my earliest memories of constructing my view of the world, my earliest memories of what was happening in this, in this thing that we get dropped into, this life, some of the earliest takeaways were of the people around me discussing in countless ways how unfair their situations were, how wrong things were, basically blaming the creation, blaming life for whatever it was that they were going through, whatever circumstance they were in, and it just never ends. I mean, the only conclusion, if you listen to the way we talk about our lives, the only conclusion you can make is that life isn't fair, and this definitely was my experience. I mean, it didn't feel fair when I was 16 years old and I was, pulled from my body and catapulted into an experience that broke my mind. It didn't feel fair when, I felt like I was being publicly humiliated and tortured in high school. It definitely didn't seem fair to me when I was homeless, trying to sleep on the concrete out by Walmart, and it seemed extra bogus when the government snatched me out of my life, stripped me naked, and put me into a cell for a few years. I mean, woe is me, right? It's ridiculous. But then I started to pay attention, like really pay attention. I decided that this one, only this one, was 100% responsible for the circumstances and experiences of my life. I decided that that thing that we called as life was too vast, too phenomenal, too immeasurable in every way to possibly be held, to be captured, or encompassed by any made-up label that really just exists in our minds. And then I was able finally to perceive that every piece of this life exists in perfect balance. It's in a perfect state of balance in every moment. And this balance is somehow controlled by these inconceivably complex laws and forces. And really, I just realized I was wasting my time. I was wasting my time thinking about whether or not I thought this was fair, or whether or not I thought that was unfair. It was just a ridiculous, pointless approach to maneuvering my way through the existence that had never served me and could never serve me. And then when I finally started doing that, bam, I have the craziest idea, and that I actually started to take seriously finally. I thought, well, what would happen if we just met reality on reality's terms? So there's a concept, right? Sounds like the most common sense thing in the world. The only problem with that is it's a pretty tall order when the only place that reality doesn't exist is in the human mind, and we've all collectively decided to establish permanent residency there. I mean, if you exist entirely in the one place where life is not actually happening, where reality actually has no substantial hold, how are you ever going to align yourself with reality? How are you ever going to cultivate a system that is congruous with the actual nature of the life which sustains us, of the life which created us and created everything that that we interact with as we go through this journey? So this point, when you get to these questions, when you start to honestly look at these things and you decide that this is important to you, this is where you enter into the process of what I'm talking about at Thematic Serenity. This is where you enter the process of awakening to the reality of this creation so that you can actually do something about it, so that you can begin to align yourself with that life. And it's not going to be an easy task, but it's the only way to move forward. We're constantly challenged, and we will continue to be constantly challenged by all of the old conditionings, all of the old perspectives that the old world kind of installed into our being. We're always going to be tested by the myths that we've accepted for so long. So-and-so was just born lucky, or I'd be like that too if I had all his advantages, or yeah, must be nice to have rich parents, and blah, blah, vomit. It sounds so insane to us when we look at those statements with clarity. Why would we disempower in that way? We can all clearly see the effect this is having. But how hard is it to keep our mind from going there? How difficult is it truly? I mean, it is so challenging to keep ourselves from going there, to keep ourselves from pushing our energies through our negligence of our awareness, to allow our energies to go into those thought patterns that are just going to undo us completely, that are going to put us back in the delusional recesses of our mind, so far away from the reality of life. So what do we do about this? How do we look at it? What is the truth? What is a perspective that we can invest ourselves in that will actually reward us with the bounty that is being bestowed on every abundant part of creation that surrounds us? How do we pull ourselves out of lack or out of these circumstances that we have deemed to be unfair? The truth is that this life is so much more than any concept of what is fair or what is not fair. Step one for this is you have to understand that fairness or unfairness or any of these things, these are ideas. This is a concept. This is a product of the intellect. So let's look at what that intellect is. So our minds that we've decided are the entire creation, this is just the product of a human system. This is the product of an extremely complex system that exists here. But think about how much of that creation, of this world that we live in, Think about how much of this existence existed before there was a human system. Think about how much of this creation had to exist and had to evolve, how many billions of years the physical creation, let alone all the other subtle, more subtle aspects, the energetic architecture and levels of that domain on which this physical world is built. I mean, not even looking at that, just the physical aspect of reality, we know had to be here for hundreds of millions. I mean, higher life forms on just this planet for hundreds and millions of years before there was ever even a human brain to come up with the idea of fairness. So, like right away, step one, our ideas of fair are looking kind of flimsy. So we are so blessed to have this intellect. We're so fortunate to be here as a human being, to be able to say, I am a human being, to have the potential of ignorance. That means we also have the possibility of salvation. We're so fortunate to be in that position and to have this human mind, but somehow we've all lost sight of the fact that the existence, the creation, the life in which we're able to take part is so much bigger than what could ever possibly be held within this one little pop-up phenomenon that we call our mind. It's so much bigger than the entirety of our mind, than the whole of our intellect, that for us to take one idea, one little product of that mind, and then extend it out over life and make these claims and judgments against creation and its creator, this is obscene. I mean, this is obscene. This is an insane way to try to conduct our life and expect that we're going to somehow get a bountiful, beautiful reward out of that creation that we're judging with our limited, incredibly limited capacity. So it's time for us to allow our intellect to show itself that the truth of creation cannot be captured by ideas. It's time for us to really experience the fact that truth can never be held within the pages of any book. It's time to just admit fair is an idea. Unfair is a concept. They have no existential connection with reality. These are psychological limitations that we impose on ourselves by means of our own lack of attention, really. We're just not looking hard enough. They say it costs to be the boss. Well, if it costs, we need to pay more attention, because you just have to look at it. Just look at it and you can already see it. I mean, how much drama have you put yourself? How many tortures have you subjected yourself to under the tyranny of this concept, this one idea of things being unfair? Imagine how many moments you've lost, totally disconnected from reality, just because of this one idea. Now, don't think about all the other ideas yet. We need to take them one at a time. So, to illustrate what I'm talking about, I would like you to please take a moment and see that this creation, this life that we have to align ourselves with, this creation that we are a part of and there's nothing we can do about it, this life will create a parasite. Okay? A living, breathing being with its own individual existence, its own desires, its own experiences, its own instincts, its own destinies. It is an individual aspect of creation, living. And the only way for it to exist is to literally feed off of another individual form of life, ultimately killing that form of life, and in doing so, killing itself. Now think about that. The source of creation in you, that thing that you might be calling as God, there is only one of them. It has to be the same source that is in every other part of life. So your God is the same God of the parasite. Now tell me, does that sound fair? Could you actually say that it sounds unfair? You can't assign any of those ideas to this part of creation, and it's happening right in front of our eyes, and we're just not looking at it. I mean, it is time that we just stand up and have the maturity to admit that life is bigger than our stupid, childish, self-serving excuses for our inability to manage this incredible gift that we call as a human being. I mean, that's all there is to it. Fairness has a purpose. It has a place in society. It's beautiful and it needs to be upheld, but it exists only on the foundation of our paradigms, right? It is built upon these cultural agreements. It's not an emergent property of life. It has no substance outside of our relationship structures. Right? That's the domain where it is relevant. That's the place where it has purpose, not to be, held out like an intellectual scepter and try to rule over the creation from our throne of our little mind. I mean, come on. So life, on the other hand, so fairness has a purpose. Fairness has a place. These things have meaning within our experience of the world, but life, the magnitude of life, this thing that we're really seeking to open ourselves up to, this thing that we want to know the secrets of, this is seeking expression by any means possible, any means necessary. It will literally consume itself just to have one more perspective of its own creation. Just one more view on this masterpiece of the Creator. It's too big for us to try to assign a meaning to it. So knowing this and seeing all of these things, you should start to appreciate, you should start to immediately have more gratitude for the position that you are in within this landscape of creation. You're a human being. I mean, you have the ability to consciously perceive and align yourself with that life, with that source that's expressing itself in so many ways. Because ultimately what we all really are searching for is just more life. We want more life. We want to capture a larger part of this phenomenon that's seeking to express itself through us. All of our desires, all of our goals, all of the things that we are seeking to attain, these are just representations that we've assigned in our mind, kind of a symbol of value that we assign to the desire within us, that we attach to the desire within us. And the thing that we're calling as desire is just within our experience, it's how we experience and how we perceive this source of creation, this life that is trying to push through our system the same way that it's pushing and expressing through every single living thing on this planet. But you as a human being, you have the opportunity to do this work and to use your intellect, to use this incredible gift, and to align yourself in a way that will let massive amounts of this life express through you. Inconceivable levels of experience pass through you. And then in doing so, because that is what life wants, that is what desire is, that is what created the parasite in the first place. It's just trying to push more and more outwards to reach ultimately to get back to its limitless, boundless state. And it's doing that through you. So imagine the rewards. Imagine the experiential rewards and benefits that are going to be bestowed on you by that creation once you align yourself with it in the way that will allow it to express to the full capacity of the system within which you operate. Does that make sense? I mean, your circumstances, your reasons for thinking that life is unfair, these little parts of our life, the psychological dramas that we get so caught up in, they're only there because you have closed yourself off to this indomitable life. You have tried to put walls around this irrepressible desire that actually is sustaining your entire being. You have built barriers of self-protection, and now all of a sudden you're waking up to realize that you are in a prison that you built So next time that you feel that life is being unfair, see that you have simply created a resistance here that does not serve you. You know, next time you hear your mind blaming someone or blaming something, just remind yourself that you are responsible, that life is bigger than any stupid idea, and it is your great fortune to be able to recognize that and correct your behavior. And then next time that you see yourself building a wall, any wall, next time you see yourself constructing some boundary to protect one of these psychological dramas, just remember the truth about this life. And the truth is that this life is like a benevolent siege. If you ride out to meet it, it will greet you and join with you all of its forces. But if you try to hide, it will starve you out of your own castle. All right, guys, that was it. That was it. I loved it. It came out so well. I'm so glad I was able to capture that feeling. That is something that is so fundamental. This perspective and this idea of fairness and the way it relates to the actual nature of life, and how that understanding empowers you to move forward into your potential, to catch sight of your birthright, to be able to glimpse your actual place in this creation and what that means for us. I mean, to finally be able to turn our gaze towards a true possibility for fulfillment. I mean, think about this, a true possibility for fulfillment. It just is something that we have not experienced. It's something we cannot claim to know. It is the truth which shall set you free. It is the reason for that peace which passeth all understanding. If you have read the scriptures, I throw those in because they resonate with me so deeply because of my extremely religious childhood. I just, to feel that in a way that's actually tangible is so powerful for me. It's the reason that I have been able to overcome the challenges that present themselves to all of us as we embark on our own unique journeys and really begin to seek out these answers that we know are there. So I hope this served you. I hope this did for you what it does for me. Please share this with anybody that you think it might benefit, anyone that you think could use this knowledge, or maybe just to have a glimpse at a new perspective. Maybe they're stuck in a way of thinking that just simply isn't serving them, and you want to kind of break them out of that and show them some more energy, a different way of being. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. Please do that. Please help me share. Definitely subscribe to this channel if you like this video. If you haven't seen the ones before, this is episode 5, and we're just going to keep going every week. It's going to be a new topic, and this is the mission. And then, of course, if you haven't been over to the website, it's www.themanicserenity.com. I've got some great resources over there. One of them is in the description for this video. If you just go right below, you're going to see a link for a 3-part training course. It's the Momentum Masterclass. It's like 3 hours of training, step-by-step practical approach, guided layout to how you structure your life, how you position your perspective, how you align your being in a way, no matter what your current situation is, no matter what it is that you're doing, no matter how little time you have. All of these things, they just don't matter. This method is built for you because it's fundamental to the human experience. It's addressing the core of what we are. So no matter how difficult times are for you right now, or no matter how far into the rare air of success you've already reached, this will be able to help you definitely take advantage of that. And so much gratitude for you guys for being here, for allowing me to share these little pieces of my perspective, to try to in some way to use words. It's so difficult, but if you really get it, then hopefully I'll have succeeded in my attempts to use words to transmit at least one part of the essence of what has become my living experience. So thank you all so much, and I'll see you next week.